Yes, I know, we're talking about the slap again, and I wouldn't be surprised if this video doesn't get a lot of views because it's a subject that's been talked to death, and I understand a lot of people don't really care about it, but I'm trying my best to explain. It's not the slap that's interesting, but it's the social context surrounding it. And it's fascinating to see that after so many years, there is a polarizing issue which allows people to have different opinions and still remain friends. I mean, I'm looking at the Twitter, and I see actual leftists having different opinions on this issue and right-wingers having different opinions, and they're not trying to cancel each other, they're not blocking each other. And it's an interesting thing, it's very different than how it used to be up until now. Because up until now, there weren't two sides of an issue. No, it was like the correct side and misinformation. And if you are doing misinformation, you are a bad person, you had to be ostracized. But that's not what we see here. And more importantly, it's not just the fact that we don't see that here, it's the fact that it's not political. I mean, I have seen left-leaning people that sided with Chris Rock, left-leaning people that sided with Will Smith, and right-wing people doing the same. I mean, it's literally in the middle. So that's what I really find absolutely fascinating. And now that I see this poll doing a breakdown of it, I find it even more interesting. Now, personally, if you ask me, it does seem a little bit weird regarding Will Smith. I mean, his wife cheats on him, and, he doesn't do any violence there, like, towards the man that she was cheating with. Like, that's fine. But when a comedian makes a joke, that's when he gets on stage and does the slap. Okay, that's interesting. But another interesting thing is the moral coming from Hollywood. Like, a lot of people say that, no, he is in the right, as in, they're literally saying that the correct answer to words is violence, which I find that to be fascinating, right? Like, if words are so damaging, if words are so powerful, why couldn't he use words against him? Why couldn't he use words against Chris Rock? Especially since Will Smith won an Oscar, like, he could have had the opportunity to go up there and then say whatever he wanted about Chris Rock. But he didn't do that, right? So that's the thing that I find most interesting. Now, if you really want to polarize this issue, and you would have, like, I believe, the entirety of the progressive sphere behind Will Smith, is like if the comedian was white, and he would have said something racist towards Will Smith, and Will Smith would have, not even slap him, but like literally punch him, I think in that case, like, all the progressives would agree, yes, what Will Smith did is good. And this is why I find American culture to be absolutely fascinating. Because on one hand, they try to sanitize the internet and remove any type of violence from the internet. Even as a joke, even as a meme, even if it's satirical, like, if it's even remotely violent, then social media, Trust and Safety Council would get rid of it. But at the other opposite of the spectrum, when you have actual violence in real life, you have progressives, at least half of them in this situation, that are agreeing with the violence. I mean, this is so American. It's so hypocritical, isn't it? And the reality is, like, I think most people want the violence, at least in the fictional sense. Like, if you look at how many people watched the slap versus how many people actually watched the Oscar, you will see that, there is a huge number of people that watched it. And they enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong. Like, it was good entertainment. Because those people have shared the clip. Those people have talked about the clip. Even though they say, oh my God, it's so wrong. Oh, it's horrible. They shared the clip. They shared the clip because they liked it. And I don't blame them, it's something that I guess a lot of people enjoy. I mean, there's a reason why people watch action movies. There's a reason why people watch shit shows. But that's the thing, right? Because, like, on one hand, American culture is like, no, we don't like shit shows. Let's hide it. Let's make it disappear from the internet. But on the other hand, the American public wants to see it. Now, here you have a breakdown on age, income, education, race, gender, presidential votes, and even attitudes towards the Bible, discussing whether or not Chris Rock or Will Smith was in the wrong. And I gotta say, I don't think, like, Chris Rock was in the wrong at all, because every single Oscar, you have this happening. You have a comedian that comes up and roasts people. And it's literally part of your job to maintain composure and keep your shit. Like, if you don't like it, you don't have to attend the Oscars. If Will Smith wasn't there, he wouldn't be made fun of. Like, that is literally part of his job. He is a millionaire, and that is the downside of his job. There is, for some reason, this mentality in a culture that actors should have no negativity as part of their job. A sewage worker has the negativity that he needs to go down in the shit and clean the sewer. A doctor has the minus part that he has to go to a family and tell them that a relative is dying. A soldier has the negativity that he can get shot. But when it comes to actors, like literally nothing bad should happen to them. They like everything that happens bad to an actor is society to blame. Paparazzi, blame society. Gossip, blame society. Someone makes a joke at the expense of a millionaire, blame society. So no, Chris Rock was in the right, and Will Smith was 1,000% in the wrong. I do not believe that what he did is acceptable. Again, it's not professional. He should have been escorted out by the security after that. So with that said, it seems that a lot of people do agree with me, but it's like so on the edge of the knife. Now, people from 18 to 34 believe that Chris Rock was in the right. And only the people that are at the age of 65 and over believe that Will Smith was in the right. And I think this is due to the culture. Like people who are more of the elderly generation, they believe that a man should defend his woman. But again, like, the woman wasn't in any danger. You know, and her honor was long tarnished. It's not like she was a proper lady viewed in the eyes of the public, and all of a sudden, you know, this comedian makes fun of her, and right, like, no. So I disagree with the boomers. But not to mention that it's not that big of a difference. Like, we notice the difference is very small, and it's the same for all the age groups. But what I find interesting is that with the income, you notice that the rich people believe that Will Smith was in the right. So this is astonishing, because when it comes to violence, you would expect that the people who live in more precarious conditions and they live in neighborhoods where violence is a daily occurrence, so you kind of get desensitized to it. Like, you think these people would agree with Will Smith, but no. It's the rich people that think violence is okay. And this might show something interesting about society, right? Because it's the people who are poor that are afraid to lose their job, and they always have to maintain appearances and pretend that they're, you know, like not for violence and whatnot. But the people who are rich don't give a fuck because they have fuck you money. Like, this is the only way I can explain this. As well as maybe like a class thing. Like, rich people think that they shouldn't be mocked or ridiculed. So that's why, I mean, the difference here is really staggering, right? Like, people under 25,000, 63% of them think that Chris Rock did nothing wrong, while the people over 150,000 think that 54% that Will Smith is right. I mean, the difference here is just massive when it comes to income. It just shows the different way of thinking that rich people have versus the poor. And then when you look at people with education, you notice that most of them believe that Chris Rock was in the right. Except for like marginal differences as people get an advanced degree. Race doesn't seem to make that much of a difference either. But what's interesting, and this is what really fascinated me, like, women do not believe that Will Smith is in the right. It's other men. So like, men are the ones that think Chris Rock is in the wrong? Fascinating. And as I mentioned, like, this is not political, right? Like, you look at the difference between Biden and Trump voters, it's almost 50-50. But my favorite part is here, is it sometimes necessary to discipline a child with spanking? And it turns out that 41% of people think that it's not. That spanking is not correct under any circumstance. And there is actually an Australian movie called The Slap. And there you have a child which is incredibly poorly raised. He is very spoiled. And at the barbecue dinner, the child does a lot of things that are disruptive and it's annoying the adults. But like, usually the adults try to pretend that they don't see it until the child gets a baseball bat and tries to hit another kid with it. And the parent of that kid gets angry, gets up, takes the baseball bat. The kid starts giving sass to the parent and he slaps him. And because it wasn't his kid, it causes this huge thing where the police gets involved. And it's a very interesting movie. that talks about literally this. You know, is it okay to sometimes slap a child? Is it okay to spank? Because as you can see, like 41% of people say that under any circumstance you shouldn't. So I'd fully recommend watching that movie. But anyway, let me know what you guys think, and I will have a huge surprise for you this week is stupid, because it's 1st of April, and I'm going to make a 1st of April edition. 2nd of April is my birthday, so I'm going to have a stream, a special stream after that. And let me know what you guys think in the comment section. What are your thoughts on it? Because again, it's very interesting that it's so polarized. And what I love the most about it, and it's actually quite wholesome, as I mentioned before, even though it's polarized, you can believe either A or B without having to get in a strong disagreement with another person, which leads to, you know, blocking and screaming and insulting other people. Like, this is how I grew up. You know, you would have a controversy and people will say, yeah, I kind of think A or I kind of think B. And that was pretty much it. But we don't live in that society anymore. Alright, take care. I'll see you in the comment section.